Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Military Money Mistakes Live. I'm Trevor Maxwell, as always. Coming to you pre recorded this week because I've got retirement ceremonies to go to for a couple of guys who have done their service to their country and they're ready to punch out and wanted to be there to support. So, also wanted to make sure that the show still went on. So, we're pre recording this week. And today's topic is one that I definitely think is one of the most important things that you're going to do during the military transition process. We're going to talk about why it's important to file your VA disability claim. But before we get into that, a couple of quick things, updates on the cohort. If we've been going through the beta cohort, we're making progress through there. We are looking at starting another one probably later in the summer because I know everybody's got stuff going on during the summer with kids and everything. So we're going to get through the beta cohort. We'll go back, rework things, and as we see fit to make the next one even better. But I will drop a link to join the beta cohort in the comments section. So if you are, or the pilot group in the comments section, which will be the next cohort. If you are interested in that, set up a call with me. Again, too, as I kind of looked at it and I thought, well, it's going to be summertime. People are going to want to go on vacation and do stuff with their kids. They're probably not going to want to sit there and go through this right now. So we'll probably look at like end of summer, starting that next cohort, which will be good. Gives us a chance to go back and rework everything and make it that much better. And then again, too, reminder, if you want to check out the Insiders portal, if you got questions about your SPP decision or what to do with your TSP, go check that out, www.militaryretirementblueprint.com. Go in there, check it out. We got tons of info. We're going live in there at least once a week too, usually talking about some of these issues. So on to today or this week's topic, why it's important to file your VA disability claim. So I ran a poll this week and I was surprised. It actually got a lot of people participated, which I was grateful for. And I wanted to kind of see like what are the, in terms of benefits, what are the best benefits that come as a result of your VA disability? And I kind of really wasn't too surprised. The number one question or whatever choice in there was the income, which I didn't really surprise me. I thought, well, okay, yeah, I can see that, especially for the retired people who have like an entire career's worth of injuries and stuff that piles up, and you can get the coveted 100% permanent in total. I get that, right? It's nice to have that. I got, as somebody who got 100% permanent in total, I definitely see the benefit in that. It's tax-free income. It comes to you every month without fail. That's guaranteed for life. If you're not 100% permanent in total, that means that you need to stay on top of those disabilities, going back, being reevaluated by the VA. Hopefully, maybe eventually over time, you get your rating increase if you don't see those issues that got you that rating improving. I know it sucks. I got the 100% permanent in total. I have good days. I have bad days. Some days I feel like I'm on top of the world. Other days it hurts to get out of bed. So, but the income is nice. It's a guaranteed income tax stream, guaranteed income tax free revenue stream. We talked about this last week too. I know there was a lot of people have been reaching out to me after last week's episode where we talked about the Congressional Budgeting Office proposal where they talked about ways to reduce mandatory spending. One of the things that they had talked about was, hey, what if we reduce or completely cut off VA disability for veteran households that are making over a certain amount of time, certain amount of income. So go check that out. We talked about that last week. A lot of people have reached out to me about that. I don't think that will happen, but we never know. Like we can't just rely on the fact that we don't think that'll happen and to protect that. So If you haven't, go back, watch last week's episode. But the income, it is nice. It's nice to have that. It's another revenue stream that you can use to help take care of some of your other goals. Something else about the income too. If a portion of your VA disability came as a result of service in a combat zone or preparing for service in a combat zone, there's the CRSC, combat related special compensation. Essentially, what it does is it reduces your taxable pension by a certain amount, and then they give you another check from the VA that's non-taxable income for that. So, if you did get VA disability and some of that was as a result of service in a combat zone, then you definitely need to go do your homework on that and see if it makes sense for you to file to apply for CRSC as well. The next big one was healthcare. Obviously, a lot of these issues that got us our VA disability rating, you can go to the VA to have those issues addressed. The VA healthcare system is there. Now, I know there's a lot of bad press out there about VA healthcare, and I've heard stories, good and bad. It's not a perfect system. Uh, there's a lot of stress on the system right now too. Especially you had all these people that fought in these two wars that we had going for the last 20 years. A lot more people have issues with it, and you know it's funny because all the bad stuff is gets publicized, and I think that puts an unfair paints an unfair picture for them. Uh, I just feel like you don't ever hear about any of the good things that have happened, and I've talked to people that have had good stories too, but they never that doesn't get put out there. Most people only hear the bad stuff. Uh, I would encourage you to go out and talk to people about that. There's a lot of other content on out there about VA healthcare. It's not all bad. I'm not saying it's all great either. Another one that I wanted to throw out there too, uh, especially if you're a business owner. So there's some business opportunities out there. One of the big ones I think that is really important is getting they call it the SDVOSB, your service disabled veteran owned small business designation. So that's something that comes at it's basically the VA verifying that you are a service disabled veteran and the owner of the business. That becomes really handy when you're looking at if you're going to bid on government contracts at the state and federal level, because that gives you preferential, um, in the pecking order, right? You get to be a little higher in the pecking order, in terms of getting awarded some of those contracts. So I may do an entire episode where I talk about that process. Like I've done that myself personally. I have a service disabled veteran owned small business. Um, and it's because, it's something that like in the future, I'll be looking at bidding on government contracts for that. So definitely want to check that out. I'll probably will schedule an episode where we'll talk about that and the advantages it brings to veterans. The last one I really wanted to dig into too, because it's one that I think doesn't get uh, enough exposure. The state benefits, whatever state that you retire in, uh, you could potentially have a lot of different benefits available to you as a result of your VA rating. So Virginia is pretty good. I know California, I think, is a pretty good one for veterans in terms of benefits that they have out there. But Virginia, I'll talk specifically about Virginia. There's some out there that I'm pretty familiar with. First and foremost, the one that I like the most, the tax benefits. So, as a result of my VA disability rating, I don't pay taxes on my house. I don't pay taxes on my vehicle, which is really nice. And I know right now Virginia does tax your military pension. But I know that was one of Governor Youngkin's big things was getting that to where I think the plan is to get like where the first $40,000 of your military pension isn't taxed, and I know they're working towards that. They're not there 100%, but they have a pathway laid out for that. Um, that's, of course, your VA disability isn't taxed anyway, so that doesn't matter. And then again, too, if you go out and get approved for the CRSC, that's going to reduce your pension, the taxable amount of your pension, and more of that will be tax free. There's education benefits. There's some really good education benefits out there. I know, again, too, I can speak intelligently to Virginia's. I've looked at that a lot. Basically, your kids, if you're rated, it says 90% on the website, but you have to be permanent in total, which essentially means 100% permanent in total. I don't know that there is a 90% permanent in total rating. Uh, but your kids can go to school in state for pretty much nothing. It's like the amount that you would have to pay is significantly reduced, which is awesome. Now, again, too, the VA has education benefits as well, which maybe we'll dig into some of those. We'll do an entire episode just on education planning for your kids and some of the benefits that are available to you out there as a result of that. But education benefits, huge thing, especially when you look at the cost of school right now. The increase in the cost of college, I know they like to call it higher education. I don't. I would come back at that as like, you guys are the higher education industry now. You're no longer institutions of higher learning anymore. Uh, the cost of college education, the increase in the cost of college education has outpaced inflation by something like 300% since the early 2000s, which is ridiculous. Like, especially when you consider the value that a college degree has brings to your career prospects is kind of shrank a lot over the years. So definitely want to take, because it's you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars of benefits there again too. Recreation. I like this one. This is one of my personal favorites. It's one of the first things I took advantage of when I retired. Like in Virginia, you can get a state hunting and fishing license for free for life. I did get that. I did pay $10 to get the saltwater endorsement. Um, Actually, my buddy Mike Riggs, who I do get to vet with, he got the trapping endorsement too. I didn't even think to do that, but that's a little bit more. Again, too, there's healthcare stuff too. There's veterans homes throughout the state, especially when you get older, long-term care, things like that. Those are another resource that's available to you. Long-term care is a big one. Again, too, like it's something that as you get older, the chances that you're going to require long-term care are going to increase significantly. And that's definitely something where you would want to leverage every resource that you have, so you're not draining all of your retirement funds. You're not, burdening your kids, having to pay for that for you. Um, so definitely something else to consider that's a huge benefit. And then there's a lot of employment benefits out there too for service disabled veterans. Um, whatever state you're at, like you can go look and see, like you type in Virginia veterans benefits, California veterans benefits. CalVet is another really good one too. I've talked to some people. I've looked at their websites. Uh, there's a ton of great resources out there. Just you've got Google, go look it up. But those are just some of the reasons why it's important to file your VA disability claim. Going back to the healthcare thing, I want to hit this real quick because some people say, well, I'm fine now. Like, yeah, you're fine now. But the important part of getting that VA disability claim filed is saying, like, hey, you know what? I've had some of this stuff happening to me throughout my career. These are issues that I've had. You don't know that they're not going to get worse 10 or 20 or 30 years down the road, especially when you're talking about some of the mental health stuff, PTSD, TBI, all those little aches and pains now. Guess what? Those might be a lot worse later on. And the whole point is, these are conditions that were either incurred as a result of your service or made worse as a result of your service, right? Service connected disabilities. So you want to get that stuff documented now before you get out, because if they get worse later and you do need some kind of treatment for those, it's a lot harder to get all that stuff done if you have to go through the process after you get out of the military. So, I guess my parting words on this would be, don't be that guy. It's funny, like the shift in your mindset after you retire. Like, because I get it. When we're active duty, everybody's like, I'm not doing that. That's dumb. Whatever. Those guys are just trying to scam the system. Uh, I promise you, the community that you're joining, the veteran community, looks at all those guys and thinks, man, I can't believe I used to be that stupid. So do yourself the favor, go talk to some people that you trust, get their take on it. Hit me up. I'm on LinkedIn. Shoot me a DM. Say, hey, I'd like to pick your brain about VA disability. I'll send you my link, and we can sit there and chat about it for a while. And I can introduce you to some other folks that can give you their perspective as well. But just don't be that guy who's on active duty and says that, because I'll promise you this: the day after you leave, nobody's going to sit around and talk about how awesome you were because you didn't file your VA disability claim, right? And I'll tell you something else: nobody else is going to be there to take care of you after you're done. So you have to make sure you take advantage of every resource that you have available to you, to make sure that you are taken care of. So that's it for this week. Send a quick shout out there. Congrats to Ted Pickett. I'll be going to his retirement ceremony this Friday. That's where I'll be when this episode comes out. So I'll be releasing another pre-recorded episode next week too when I go, because I'll be at my buddy Gene Bell's retirement. So see you guys in a couple weeks live. You'll see another recording next week, and hope that you got something out of this. And we're here every Friday at 1 p.m. Again, too, feel free to check out the portal, the militaryretirementblueprint.com. And, if you are interested in joining the pilot cohort, hit me up. I will leave I'll leave a link in there in the comments section where you can set up a call if you're interested in checking that out. So see you next week.